Welcome! So this is going to be your video review for Unit 7. I go over some key problems. I don't do them all because eventually you need to get them done. But what I will do is go through a lot of them and get you to where you need to finish them. Okay, so again, what I'll be checking for is kind of how you finish the problem. So in number 1, you're stating each trigonometric function as a ratio of its side length. So to give you an example, so in A and B I'm going to use the same colors because you're using angle A. So in reference to angle A, so I highlighted my angle, and then I'm also going to label the hypotenuse. I always start with that because I think it's the easiest one to find. Alright, my pen is not working very well, so please bear with me as I use, instead of the pen, I'm just going to use the keyboard. So AB is the H, I'm going to make that in red. CB is O, and CA is the adjacent. So the tangent is, if you're looking at your foldable, opposite side over adjacent, so that would be CB over CA. Okay, and then the sine is opposite, so CB over AB. Okay, now I'm going to switch colors, so you can either switch colors or erase. If I'm looking now at angle B, so angle B is, I'm going to do that in blue, I think. Alright, so you can see the pen does not work well at all. Alright, so angle B, so in reference to angle B, CA is now O, and CB is now A, and the hypotenuse has not changed. So cosine of B would be adjacent over hypotenuse, so the adjacent side is the blue A, over the hypotenuse, which is AB. And then tangent would be opposite, CA over CB. Okay? Alright, so in number 2, you have the lovely map of Manhattan. So it takes him 6 minutes to walk along 6th Avenue. So I like to find 6th Avenue from West 34th to West 27th. So 6 minutes. Then another 4 minutes still along 6th Avenue from West 27th to West 23rd. Okay? One day he goes along Broadway. It takes him 7.5 minutes to walk along West 34th to West 27th. Okay? And the question is asking, how long will his whole trip from West 34th to West 23rd along Broadway take? So what I would do is I would highlight it on the map. That way you can see that they are asking for a whole, which means if you set up a proportion, I would set up a proportion with a whole. Okay? So if I start in blue, I would do 6 over 10 because that's the whole that goes with 6. I would then set that equal to 7.5 over x. That way, when you get your x, you actually got that whole. So if you cross multiply there, I believe you get x equals 12.5. And that would be nice if we labeled minutes. Okay, so his whole trip would take him 12.5. If you did it a different way, you would see that this guy right here is 5, and you would have to do 7.5 plus 5, which gets you to 12.5. Okay? Alright, 3 and 4 are a little tricky. They might be extra credit on your test. I do want to make you a note. So in number 3, it's asking which numbered angle has the largest sine. Okay? So I would maybe make a note that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Okay? So if we're dividing by a number, we want that hypotenuse to be small. So we want to have a smaller hypotenuse. Because when you divide by a smaller number, the value is bigger. Okay? So what I would do is all these angles we are using, so here's an angle, here's an angle, and here's an angle. So they're all using this side as their opposite, so I would just maybe make that your opposite side. And the one with the smallest hypotenuse is the angle that would have the largest sine. So if you're looking at your pictures, you can see that angle 1 has the smallest hypotenuse, so angle 1 would have the smallest sine. Okay, so this is going to be probably an extra credit question on your test. But remember, you want to divide by a small number so you can see that you want to have a small hypotenuse. Alright, very similar question is number 4. Which number has the largest tangent? So tangent is O over A. So this time we want to have a small adjacent side. Okay, so we want to have a smaller adjacent. Okay, and you can see up there I spelled hypotenuse wrong. Okay? Alright, so they're all going to be using this as their opposite side. Okay, because you can see we have an angle, and an angle. Okay? So that's going to be their opposite side, and they're all going to share. This adjacent side goes with 3, and then the next adjacent side would be this one, so that's an adjacent side for angle 2, and then for angle 1 it has that adjacent side. Okay, so you can see that each has their own adjacent side, and the one with the smallest adjacent side is 3. So angle 3 would have the largest tangent. So please remember that's going to be an extra credit question. Alright, number 5 you should definitely be able to do since I went over number 1 with you. However, if you notice, you are missing a side. Okay? So if you're missing a side and you're going to need it, hint hint, you probably need it in part B and C, because if you do cosine of P, you don't have that adjacent side. So if you need to find that, you should definitely use Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so we have our C, so 28 squared plus B squared equals 53 squared. So you want to try to solve this. If you want to kind of pause it and then solve it on your own, that might be a good idea. But I did get 45. Okay? So 5 is one that I'll be checking on your own. Alright, number 6. Find the exact value of sine of 45. First thing I would do is remind myself that sine is O over H. So what I like to do is just sketch my special right triangle. I know that's 45. And it has ratios of 1 square root of 2. Okay? So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, which is going to be 1 over the square root of 2, but that's a huge no-no. So we have to multiply times the square root of 2 to get rid of that square root. And it now becomes square root of 2 over 2. Okay? So if you have your special right triangles foldable, you can use it on your test. And then finding the exact value of cosine, you would do AE over H. And it's cosine of 30 degrees. So again, I would sketch my triangle. So my 30 degrees I typically put right up there. And the ratios are 1 to square root of 3. Okay? Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So feel like I did this wrong. Erase that triangle if you drew it. Okay, so, alright, I'm going to be putting 30 degrees right there, and it's still 1, 2, sorry. Oh, I did it wrong again. Crap. Alright. Alright, so here's my triangle. I'm going to make this my 60-degree angle because that's the longest side, and then 30 degrees down here. There we go. So we have 1, 2, square root of 3. Alright, and then adjacent over hypotenuse would be square root of 3 over 2. Okay, because this is the adjacent side and 2 is the hypotenuse. Alright, number 8, finding a side length to the nearest tenth. So what you have to do is, here's your angle. In reference to your angle, you definitely have the hypotenuse and you want to find VW. Okay, so that's like your x, and that is the adjacent to the angle. So if you set up your proportion, A and H means you're using cosine of 34 equals, we can use x now, over 8.2. So I will leave you to solve this because I believe most of you, like 99.9% of you, can solve that. Just make sure you're rounding to the nearest tenth. Alright, and last, you have a 20-foot extension ladder. Okay, so here's my 20-foot ladder. Okay. Comes with a warning that the angle the ladder makes with the ground, so a lot of times the ground is ground is the horizontal, cannot be bigger than 75 degrees. Okay. What is the highest the ladder can reach safely? So basically we need to find that side length. So that gives us opposite over adjacent. So sine of 75 equals x over 20. And I will be checking to make sure you solve that. Keep in mind you're rounding your answer to the nearest inch. Oh, no, cross that out and put feet. We don't want to put it in inches. We don't want to have to convert, okay? So just put feet. Whatever you get, just leave your answer in feet, okay? Alright, so that concludes your video review. We will do a in-class group review tomorrow, and then your test is going to be on Monday and Tuesday.